I broke up with my boyfriend on our wedding day and I regret it. Here's why. My name's Lily, the ordinary name of an ordinary girl. Or so I thought before the day of my wedding. I was just 20 at that time. It was a beautiful morning on a warm spring day. I was leaving for work when a man walked into the elevator. As soon as I saw him, I couldn't help myself but observe him from head to toe. Dark hair, strong jaws, full lips, chocolate brown eyes, well-built body. Other than his elegance, there was something very unique in him, but I couldn't pinpoint what. It might have been his eyes, intensely gazing, as if seeing things that normal people can't see. We were alone in the elevator, and he felt my curious eyes fixed on him. "Hello." He turned to me and smiled, showing his perfect teeth. "I'm Nate. I just moved into this building." "Welcome, Nate." I smiled too. "I'm Lily." The building was tall, and we were going down from the 16th floor, so we chatted a little, and after stepping out of the elevator, Nate handed me his business card before parting ways. "Call me if you want," he said and smiled. Of course I wanted. How could I resist his charm? Even though he was only a stranger to me, I didn't care. We'd get to know each other eventually. Nothing happens if you don't take the first step, right? So we met up that evening and had dinner in a restaurant. Nate kept making me laugh. We talked for hours, and I felt that I could tell him my deepest secrets. Weeks passed and we kept meeting, going to the movies, parks. My life looked like an early 2000s rom-com. Weeks turned into months and years. I fell in love with Nate more and more every day. On a warm spring day, exactly 7 years after our first meeting, he proposed. I jumped up, clinging onto his neck, saying yes over and over. I had never been happier. The planning of the wedding took a whole year. I kept rushing to a designer, cook, managers, and a lot of others to plan a perfect wedding. I wanted our wedding to be as beautiful and flawless as our love was. But the visit from my aunt broke the peace. "Lily, I think you should think about the wedding's future," she said, sitting at the table. "What do you mean, Auntie?" I asked. "I'm busy. Have to talk to the cook about the wedding cake." "There's something you don't know, Lily," she said nervously. "Our family is cursed. We have experienced tragic events in our marriages." "What are you saying?" I laughed. "I don't believe in curses and such." "Your poor father died a year later after your parents got married. You know that," my aunt continued. "My husband also died a little after our wedding. I think Nate is in danger too." I looked at her hesitantly. "I don't really think marriage has anything to do with it," I said. "It's just bad luck." "I will find a good soothsayer," said my aunt, "and I will see the future of your marriage. I'll contact you as soon as I find something out." Even though I was sceptical, a little part of me believed my aunt. But as she left and I dived deep into wedding planning, I eventually forgot about it. My aunt hadn't called since our meeting, and I thought she hadn't found anything dangerous. All I could think about was my future with Nate, how perfect and sweet it would be, how we'd grow old together. The wedding day finally came. Elation had filled me up. I couldn't wait to put the ring on Nate's finger and say the vow, cry with him, and kiss him under the falling rose leaves. Nate was already standing, waiting for me. The people had stood up, and the priest had prepared his speech. White flowers had covered the floor, and yellow candles brightened the church. I was about to step in when I felt someone touching my shoulder. It was my aunt, panting. "Lily, I searched for and finally found a reliable soothsayer," she said. "I have terrible news. Nate is destined to die on your wedding day. This means you'll be married for only a day." I felt blood rushing to my head. I couldn't believe that the curse turned out to be true. The only way to save Nate was leaving. I had to save Nate from me. I knew that if I looked at him, his eyes wouldn't let me make this decision. So without a word, I ran out of the church. I heard people gasping and Nate's footsteps following me. "Lily, why are you doing this?" I heard his voice. "Don't you love me anymore?" I was running as fast as I could when Nate's voice halted. I looked back and saw him lying on the ground with blood flowing from his head. He had tripped, falling on a metal fence. I rushed to him, crying, "Nate! Nate! Please don't die!" I kept sobbing while caressing his face. The ambulance took him into the hospital. I followed him, holding his hand while still wearing the white wedding dress covered in blood. "I love you so much," I repeated while the doctors prepared him for an operation. "I've never stopped loving you." The doctors pushed me out of the room, saying I couldn't be there during the operation. I waited for 2 hours, pacing up and down, while tears kept rolling down my cheeks. Finally, the doctor came out with a sad face. "I'm so sorry," he said. "We lost him." I fell on the floor, screaming in despair, looking at my wedding dress stained with Nate's crimson blood. I couldn't believe I had lost the love of my life. But the thing that kept piercing my heart was the fact that all of it was my fault. I sat there, wailing and questioning myself. The thoughts lanced my mind. Was Nate destined to die on our wedding? Or was he cursed to die after all? Is there anything at all like soothsaying? I think I brought this on myself. I shouldn't have listened to my aunt and not run out of the church. If I hadn't done so, Nate wouldn't follow and fall, and this wouldn't have happened after all. I kept asking myself these questions, but couldn't find the answers. Please like and share this story. Remember to subscribe if you want more stories like this.